voice versus passive voice. What is active voice? In a sentence using active voice, the subject of the sentence performs the action expressed in the verb. It stresses the doer of an action by making the doer the subject. For example, the cow stepped on the cat. When should you use it? Active voice is used for most non-scientific writing. Using active voice for the majority of your sentences makes your meaning clear for your readers by avoiding excessive wordiness. And then there's passive voice. What is passive voice? In a sentence using passive voice, the subject is acted upon. He or she receives the action expressed by the verb. It stresses the receiver of an action by making the receiver the subject of the sentence and having the subject acted upon. Passively, the example would be, the cat was stepped on by the cow. When should you use passive voice? Sometimes writers find using an indirect expression is rhetorically effective in a given situation, so they choose passive voice. Passive voice makes sense when the agent performing the action is obvious, unimportant, or unknown, or when a writer wishes to postpone mentioning the agent until the last part of the sentence, or to avoid mentioning the agent at all. The passive voice is effective in such circumstances because it highlights the action and what is acted upon, rather than the agent performing the action. Journalists may choose to use the passive voice when the person being acted upon is more important than the person doing the acting, such as is often the case in a crime or an accident story. For example, the nation's prime minister was shot and killed by an assassin today. Or when the person doing the acting is unknown. For example, a one-armed man is being sought in connection with the death of a woman in Chicago. Or when reporters seek to preserve the confidentiality of their sources. Like in the sentence, it is reported that. Passive voice is usually avoided because from a literary standpoint, passive voice lacks the appeal of active voice. Passive voice sentences are wordier, more awkward sounding, less interesting, more stilted or formal, and often vaguer. Take a look at these passive voice and active voice examples. In this example, all of the carrots in town have been eaten by local rabbits. Compare that example to this active example. Local rabbits have eaten all of the carrots in town. Notice that the active voice sentence is shorter than the passive voice sentence, and it also sounds less stilted and more to the point. The passive voice sentence creates a wordier and often more formal effect on your sentences.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
You can recognize the passive voice by using the following three tests. We will use the sentence, the iguana was captured by Granny, as an example. First, the subject is not the doer. It is being acted upon. In the example, the subject iguana is being acted upon by the doer, Granny. Second, a form of be, am, is, are, was, were, appears with a past participle. In the example, was is used with the past participle captured. Third, the phrase by someone or something either appears in the sentence or it can be added. In the example, the by plus a doer phrase is by Granny. In short, it is important to note that passive voice isn't wrong, but it's often a poor way to present your thoughts. As with any writing strategy, the key to the successful use of passive voice is in knowing when it is most beneficial to your rhetorical purpose. This video tutorial is brought to you in part by